Tommy's a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
You fucking...
Yeah, I fell into it, and I didn't.
Nobody else can play Oblivion but him and the real Oblivion fans.
No one's playing it right.
They're all so stoked about this free DLC that what they don't. What you talk about it?
No, I was just explaining that I've just been seeing a lot of people online talking about all these free houses that you can get in Oblivion, and I'm like, well, they weren't free. Number one, they were.
I put money out of my own pocket in there.
Probably my parents' money. Let's be real.
I put someone's money in it.
And I always had this love-hate with them because they were these like cool, but I thought kind of pointless houses. And on like Instagram and stuff, everyone's like, "Look, this cool house you can get." And I found myself falling into a gatekeeping loop that I was like, I'm an adult. I'm a grown-ass man. Like, I really shouldn't care this much. So I got myself being an asshole. But Oblivion remake or remaster.
People are liking it.
It's, I don't know. I hear a conversation for both about it, whether it's a remake or a remaster. It kind of feels like
it's a remaster.
It's a remake.
How is it a remake?
Because they've changed a lot of the actual... Like,
is the story different?
Mechanics of it. So they like took it from the ground and then rebuilt it up. From
point A to point Z, beginning to middle and end, is it... Wait, am I actually getting picked up here? Yeah, I am. Okay. Sounds like it's getting quieter. Sorry, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. From point A to point Z...
Like just for argument's sake, like the main quest?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think so.
It's the same?
Yeah.
Then I feel like it's a remaster.
But that's what I think the conversation is, though, because they're like rebuilding mechanics to the thing. They didn't just port it and give it a high fidelity graphics change. They actually changed. And some people are having an issue with that too, which I think is really funny because the game was so broken that you could really... There was a paintbrush glitch where if you had a paintbrush in your inventory and then you dropped it, it would just freeze. And so people would carry around paintbrushes and make like ladders with them to speed run it. And it's been in the game since 2005 or whatever, and even in all the ports and everything. And for some reason, they took it out, and everyone's like, "We want that." It was the cheat code thing that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Like some people want to use it for speed running and just getting, But, anyways, it's really good. It's really janky and fun, and a very nice blast from the past.
Hell yeah! All right,
this is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape.
Welcome back.
Hello.
I am in a hallway far, far away.
As we said in the beginning, we're having a little bit of technical issues. We will try and fix it post-show. Well, Jacob will try and fix it post-show.
And hopefully next week everything will be back on par. But if you have a hard time hearing me, I apologize.
He will do his best to articulate.
Articulation.
So, for those of you, if this is your first time here, this is TJ's Mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob over there. We're decades-long friends, and we like movies, and we like talking about movies. And so, on this podcast, guess what we do? We talk about movies, and who made them, who's in them, some themes of the movies, and then we give a rating at the end. The rating is arbitrary. It does not reflect your taste. I just got called out the other day.
Did you?
Pretty hard.
Oh, really? Tell me a story.
They turned off the episode because I didn't like the movie that they grew up with. That they
yeah.
They were pretty upset about it.
Hey, I bet is that that's fine.
And we are very aware that we have movie tastes that are also terrible, but we will do our best to talk about it respectfully.
I also let's rewind here. Just because you fucking like the movie doesn't mean everybody also has to like your favorite movie.
Who the fuck are we?
Like, I'm going to defend ourselves. You're going to be like, no, it's okay. You don't have to like us. Like, you don't have to like us. I don't even like me half the time. Anywho.
So before we get into this week's episode, we're continuing on with a kind of a dealing with grief
concept.
Last week we did The Sea of Trees. And but at the beginning of each episode, we go over. Well, how do I word this? At the end of each episode, we pick 2 actors and find a movie connection between the 2.
We can just say, let's play Connect the Stars.
Yes, Connect the Stars.
Stars.
It's a website that we used that kind of helped
Star.
move the game along. But last week, the 2 actors that it randomly generates 2 names. The 2 that came up were Jackie Chan and Jamie Foxx.
Fucking love
So-
Jackie Chan.
We had to connect the 2. So
Connect.
How many connections is yours?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, we both have 3. So you go first because I.
All right. So we got starting with Jackie Chan, who is in Shanghai Noon with Lucy Liu,
Okay.
who's in Charlie's Angels with Cameron Diaz, who's in a couple of different movies with Tom Cruise, but I specifically said Vanilla Sky, who's in Collateral with Jamie Foxx.
I wondered if there was a collateral connection.
Yeah. And also the other one I was thinking was like, I forget, Midnight Nights, I don't know, Summer, Midnight, whatever. There's a spy movie that Tom Cruise is in with Cameron Diaz.
Oh, Night and Day.
Yeah, yeah.
K-N-I.
Yeah, because his last name is Knight.
Yeah,
and
Night
I
and Day.
think her last name is Day or some bullshit.
Moped
Yeah.
scene and-
Yeah. Yep.
Mine was Jackie Chan and Shanghai Noon with Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson in Hall Pass with Jason Sudeikis. And then
Yep.
Jason Sudeikis in Horrible Bosses with
Jamie Foxx. Nice. Yeah. I was actually trying to think of one for Horrible Bosses, but I was like, fucking Jason Sudeikis. I forgot about Hall Pass.
I did too because I've never actually seen it. And anytime I hear about the
It's
concept,
got some fucking crazy jokes in
it
it.
sounds kind of wild.
It's more my.
yeah,
It's
it
more
just-
my.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And I've just, Jason Sudeikis to me now is someone that I'm really appreciating, but I never really cared about him before.
Fair. Yeah.
But like now I really like his kind of dry, deadpan, like, what's that movie? We Are the Millers.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
what it's
yeah.
called? I love that movie.
The movie's hilarious.
Like just the chemistry that the 4 of them have. Just they got great people for that movie. They're all really funny. But yes, so at the end of this episode, we will generate 2 more random actors, and then the game will start over. So if you can think of a cool connection that connects these 2 stars, connects the stars, please put it in the comments.
Yeah.
All right, so getting into it. This is episode 240 with the continuation of the grief, dealing with grief theme with 2006's The Fountain.
The Fountain.
So
To begin?
to begin, did you like it?
I did.
You did.
I did.
Okay.
I feel like it's a movie that found it. I don't know, because I didn't like it through like halfway through it. I was like, oh, all right, but then it ended, and I was like, huh. Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know if I didn't like it or I still just don't really get it.
That's fair.
Because I do recall seeing this movie when it came out.
I saw it in theaters.
I was too young. I was probably like 14. And this probably just went way over my head. But I thought, I was like, oh, Wolverine. You know.
Yeah.
But watching it again, I really hate it that I think this way, but I really feel it insists upon itself. And I find it a level of pretentious and not genuine feeling to me.
I feel like it's trying too hard at something, and it's just missing the mark a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everything that's in it and everyone are involved with it, it should be.
Well, it's the Sea of Trees thing. It's on paper.
Uh-huh.
You're like, this should have been a smash hit.
Yeah.
But it just didn't translate very well.
And I think I get why. I see it.
Yeah. I think
The reason why I got halfway through it, and one of the notes I wrote was, it's semi-interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and then even like when we get into the review corner, Tommy's review corner, a lot of the mid-tier critics talk about that, about how it is such a visual thing. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to the writing, it doesn't really follow through with...
And I think its biggest problem is the 3 narratives.
I also agree with that. And the lack of to me, and this is just my my perspective, like watching it, being like the fact that the lack of concrete
the fuck is
there's the one obvious through line of like the present day, but then you have these other two where you're like the narrator, who whoever's weaving the what if guy, what's his name, the watcher creating this narration they're leaving it up to us to kind of decide what we want to believe in.
Yeah.
And I don't think that can work. I don't think it works for this.
Which it's crazy because of the director, because of Aronofsky, that I think we'll get more into also like let's get into like when it was released and all this stuff.
And for those that haven't seen it.
With the fucking synopsis.
Sorry. Yeah. Between 3 different time periods, 3 different men search for the secret of immortality.
Yes.
And that's really loosey-goosey. I had to workshop it with Jacob over here to kind of really try and get a way to say it without talking too much into it. But again, it's up to interpretation to me.
Well, and straight from the director, writer, he does say that the theme of this movie is the fear of death.
Yes. Which is... It's one of those, once you chew on it a little bit, a little more does kind of come out. Yeah. A little more flavor to it. But you do have to kind of sit in it for a second and kind of really take it all in. Yeah. But yeah. So as Jacob said, our director / story writer, or screenplay.
Well, do we want to do real quick box office?
Yeah.
It was a box office failure.
It came out to 158 on the list. With a budget of $35 million, grossing about 16.5. Yeah. Which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Yeah. Because this was released November 22nd of 2006.
Around my birthday. I guarantee you I saw this movie for my birthday.
Well, and that to me is also a weird release date for something like this.
It is. Well, and it was first released at the Venice Film Festival in September of that year. To what I read was apparently a lot of critics booing it. Yeah. But also just so we can get into it, for 2006, how many movies did you got?
53.
46. I also put a star by 2006. Not only have we done a handful of movies from this year I feel like has a very interesting spread of movies between comedies, dramas, and everything. Like,
I actually meant to open that up just to have it for this part of the... Yeah, okay, here it is. Yeah, it did. I mean, 2000... It's weird, like 2006, and because we've done, like you said, a couple of them. We've done like Aragon and stuff, and so this year's come up. Yeah. And a lot of these movies were really... It has a mix of ones that kind of stood the test of time that people still go back and revisit, or ones that were kind of like flash in a pan because they're really popular for a certain age group at a certain time. So it's like Talladega Nights is really popular to a particular window. I feel like
a lot of people that watch FX, because it's on replayed on there all the time.
And then you have just looking at this Casino Royale or The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
So it is the Departed was number 15. Mm-hmm. You do have these ones that are really, they stand out and people have gone back to revisit them, and there are other ones that did not.
But yeah, so this movie was written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, who's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. I've seen almost everything he's done. I didn't realize he did Mother.
Yeah, I was surprised
Jennifer
by
Lawrence.
That too. Yeah,
which I was like, I just need to watch it now because of that.
Yeah. But I like Jennifer Lawrence too.
I do. Yeah, I think she's a great actor. Yeah. But probably most notably for doing Requiem for a Dream.
Still never seen.
Or Black Swan.
Still never seen.
He did Noah, which I didn't know.
I did. That also was kind of stood out to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wrote down Pi, which I think you might enjoy.
Pi seemed interesting.
Yeah.
The Wrestler.
Oh yeah,
which I have seen.
One of my favorite movies.
And then The Whale, which we both have been wanting to watch.
We'll get there.
We'll one day watch it because I've heard great things.
Good old Brendan Fraser. Yep.
Good old Brendan Fraser.
And then our other writer, story by, is Ari Handel, who is more of a producer when they are doing film stuff. They're not 100% just a film guy. And they also have a writing credit on Noah as well with Darren Aronofsky. So they seem like they like to work with Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. And 6 episodes of the Limitless TV show, which I forgot they had done.
Which they created, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting about this movie, real quick, with Aronofsky and Ari, is there was an earlier script that would have had a much larger budget that the studios didn't want to produce. And so Aronofsky kind of like dropped it and decided to just, explore some other stuff, was going to work on some other projects. And then something happened that kind of like inspired him to come back to, I think it was one of his parents got diagnosed with cancer.
It said parents.
Oh, both of them.
That's what it said.
That's wild.
I don't know if that's just a
No, I mean, could you imagine both your parents at the exact same time getting diagnosed at that? Yeah. Which caused him to kind of like go back into it, and then found a way to pretty much write the script in a much more like budget friendly way. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it makes me wonder everything we're talking about, where it's like, it feels like these narratives don't blend well. Maybe the earlier script could have had a little bit more coherence with it.
Well, my thought when I was reading that as well was that, okay, it really is this like sci-fi epic.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because it is kind of over time and space, and and it feels like it has been stunted because of the lack of a sci-fi epic. When you think sci-fi epic, you think Star Wars or Dune, and these are these big, sprawling spaces with a lot. And granted, that may not be a great comparison, only in the sense because there is like there's a system of government and cultures and stuff like that are really teeming with life, But with this, though, it does feel like the visual aspect, for as beautiful as it is, because it is a really beautiful movie, it does feel like the visual aspect actually was nerfed.
Yeah. And
brought down to a smaller scale. But you're talking about infinity, basically.
Yeah.
You're telling a story about foreverness. So it kind of needs to be this. And they really tried to do that with the whole tree snow globe kind of thing, but it just didn't really nail home.
Yeah.
And so it does feel like, to me, the special effects, because the studio was like, you're out of your mind, we're not giving you $70,000 to do this movie. You get half and then make it work. It does feel like that kind of was a hindrance. But even then, when the script was first being introduced in 2001,
there's 2 different stars on board as well.
So totally different movie there. But then also just in 2001, what special effects are we talking,
Yeah.
Because granted, it's only 5-year difference, but in this world, 5 years can make a world of difference. So it's just it was kind of on this cusp. So it's just kind of interesting to think about, the Darren cut of the fountain.
Yeah.
What was envisioned?
What was his first thought?
What first envisioned in this?
Yeah. Well, let's go into starring.
Yes. Done it before. You know him. You love him. Hugh Jackman.
We did Kate Leopold with him.
Yeah, another time travel thing.
Well, but this isn't time travel.
You know what I mean?
He is Wolverine.
Prisoners, which I keep bringing up because I just really want to do.
Yeah.
Really want to do that movie. Hugh Jackman in this, I did feel very conflicted on.
I don't think he was bad.
No. I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was good, because he has these moments of like the Hugh Jackman thing, the intensity and a lot of yelling, kind of randomly. It kind of startled me a couple times.
Nicolas Cage, calm down.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. That's him doing the emotion thing. But then he never leaned into any other emotion. Like
he leaned into the desperation.
Yeah, and I feel it ended up to me making him kind of a shallow character.
That's fair,
because it's angry. We got it here. And even the moments where he's having these sweet moments with his wife just didn't. I don't know.
Well, and part of that I feel is purposeful, because he is refusing to accept what's about to happen.
And I thought of that and I got that, but the thing is, because of that, and I never got invested in anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, the highest stake you can have is death.
Yeah.
The death of this character you become invested in. Game of Thrones, and that's a really great tool to use and just knock off the fan favorite and people will talk about
What the fuck?
and that was the thing. And I think also the 3 storyline thing made it really hard to invest in anyone. You had Spaniard Hugh Jackman, and then you had Buddhist monk Hugh Jackman, and then you had scientist Hugh Jackman, and not one of them you ever really got, because with the Spaniard version, he's a
Conquistador.
Thank you, Conquistador. He's almost a fanatic, which they all kind of are, but it's like it almost just comes off like a religious fanatic, even though the queen is the underlining thing. It's like a religious fanatic. And then you have the scientist one that is the hyper focused scientist one, and then you have the one that wants to fuck the tree, and you're like, okay. I did not like the tree, and I didn't like the little hairs and the I was like, like, chop that motherfucker down.
That's really funny.
But, and so then that's kind of an example to me of the disconnection that it had. But yeah, sorry, that was a weird tangent. That's Hugh Jackman. Up next is someone that we've actually done a lot.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize
this is film number 5.
Yeah, Rachel Weisz, our girl, apparently. This is the Rachel Weisz podcast.
Right? The Lobster, The Mummy, The Favorite, and Aragon.
Yeah.
And now this.
Crazy. And I got
now this.
I gotta say that out of the 5 of them, this and Aragon are the only ones that I'm like, you just weren't really utilized very much to me. She's still great.
I feel like Aragon, yes. I feel like she was utilized to the best of. I really liked her in this.
If I was just an actor, I would have such an issue with the playing the dying wife thing. What I thought was interesting for a rewrite is actually, I thought it would have been really cool if it was reversed and he had been dying and she was the scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like that would have made a difference.
Yeah.
Because also I just think that for what this is, for what the container that this is, I kind of feel like Rachel Weisz would have nailed it better.
That's fair.
The obsessing, the grief, the sign. I think that. I mean, I guess I don't really know how it would have worked with the time travel shit, but at least the modern day scientist bit.
Yeah.
But even then, that would have been kind of cool.
Watching Hugh Jackman die.
Well, like, you still do the time travel thing, or what, like the multiverse thing or whatever it is, and it's the time travel, the movie, the time travel. It's the same outcome, even though you are changing things. Mm-hmm. So it's like they are this couple, this cosmic couple. One of them is doomed to die before their time. Yeah, and cause grief to the other one.
I see what you're saying.
So in a modern day, it's him that's dying, and the conquistador, she's the queen. You know what I mean? Like, It just, anyways. What else do you
got? Just quick shout outs, really. Ellen Burstyn, who's in the modern time. She's Hugh Jackman's or Tommy's boss, pretty much. Yeah. She's also in Requiem for a Dream.
She's in The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Exorcist Believer had such a low score.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a 4.8. I didn't think it was that bad.
Mark Margolis from Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah. Is that the guy from Ace Ventura?
Oh, yeah.
Is that him?
He's the landlord.
The landlord.
Ventura. Yeah. Cliff Curtis was in the first season or two of Fear of the Walking Dead. Sean Patrick Thomas from Save the Last Dance. And Ethan Suplee.
Oh, yeah.
Butterfly Effect.
He was itty bitty in this.
Yeah.
He was really little.
Yeah, let's get into reviews so we can get into this, because I trying not to break it down too much yet
until we get there.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got them open if you got our scores.
Oh, God damn it. I got to do something still. My microphone thing is really actually kind of... I'm trying to stay focused, but it's really bothering me. All right, so on IMDb, this has got a 7.2. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 52% tomato meter and a 74 popcorn. So I thought that I found that IMDb one at 7.2 surprising. I was surprised for that, and then the tomato meter to be at 54, and then popcorn be a little bit higher. But it's all over the place, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the 72 in IMDb doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
Really, because that is user review, and I think that this movie is a lot of you kind of get it or you don't. Mm-hmm. It speaks to you or it doesn't.
I don't think I got it when I was younger, really.
No. It's some pretty heavy abstract shit that you're trying to wrap up in an hour and 37 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a lot.
I weirdly respected the length, though.
No, I appreciated it because it really could have dragged on.
Yeah.
But then with the whole time jumping thing, I'm having a really hard time keeping the events they're presented, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. Reviews.
So on Metacritic, it has a 51, which comes to mixed or averaged, with 15 positive, 14 mixed, 7 negative, with 100 at the Portland, or I always mess this one up, Orgian by M.E. Russell. Short, simple, to the point. It's an ambitious, passionate, grief-stricken work of film art.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. You know, I mean, and I did write down a couple other ones that I thought like this one, 75 at New York Daily News by Jack Matthews. It's often maddening because of its structure, and some of its visuals are pretentious nonsense. But as a story of undying love, it's certainly unique. So there's this kind of like vibe with a lot of these.
Yeah.
Like, I see what they were doing, but it didn't really captivate me in the way I wanted to. Let's see. Nah, that one. I wrote down a couple just to like read real quick and be like, is that worth bringing up in this particular moment? But no. Okay. So for the mixed, at Film Threat by Peter Von den Heer, who gave it a 50. Like all of his previous films, it's visually arresting. If any recent film embodies the concept of cinema as poetry, this is it. But unlike Pi or Requiem for a Dream, these aren't characters we're ever invested in.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
And that one really spoke to me. And I was like, because it's a story of undying love that is doomed to die. You kind of need to give a shit about the people that are dying. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is. It was just too disjointed, you know. And
disjointed is a very good word for this movie.
Well, because the thing that the thing that kind of stood out to me the most about the disjointed thing was there's a moment where they really spoon feed you information, and I really didn't appreciate it.
Remember which part that was?
It's when he comes home and it's Tommy, the modern day Tom. Yeah. Tommy he comes home and his wife, he can't find her, and so the music changes, and you're like, it's giving you like something's wrong. She's sick, like, you know, it's starting to tell you that through him interacting with the environment. And then he goes outside and they have this whole conversation about what's it called?
The stars, the nebula.
Yeah, what's it called?
The specific one.
Yeah.
It's a Mayan word for fright.
Yeah, El Dorado.
I forget.
Road to El Dorado. They say, give it to Xibalba. Is that it?
That doesn't sound right.
But I feel like I just completely lost all credibility because I can't remember the name of this goddamn
Xibalba.
Xibalba?
It is Xibalba.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Xibalba, like, they're talking about, okay, so she's out there and she's looking at this nebula, and this is a Mayan afterlife. This is their underworld, their heaven, their next plane of existence. And I was sitting there and I was like, well, we've gotten that she is kind of, in some regard, she is a Mayan expert, right? And she's been writing a book about the Inquisitions,
the
conquistadors, and this, in connection with the Mayan afterlife and all this kind of stuff. And then her husband is unaware of anything that she's talking about. She's explained the dialogue is being explained for us as the audience to get the information, but in the narrative of the world, your dying wife is working on this book. It's like the last thing she basically, in world wants to get done before she passes away. She wants to get this book finished as her like last, opus kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you have Hugh Jackman's character Tommy sitting over here like, oh, so what's this thing about Hermione after? It was just like I found the conversation very force fed.
I see what you mean.
I got really, really annoyed about it. All right. And then last, at the Philadelphia Inquirer with a 25 by Stephen Ray. Has to be one of the nuttiest, sappiest, literally, most unintentionally hilarious spectacles to come down the time travel turnpike in eons.
Alrighty then. Mm-hmm. Jeez. Mm-hmm. Hilarious?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I
wasn't laughing at it anymore.
I was trying to rack my head about like, whoa.
They're probably that's a very pretentious one. They're laughing at like, oh, he thinks he's so smart. Yeah. Look how bad this movie actually is.
Technically.
You think you're a good filmmaker, Darren Aronofsky? Well, I am a great critic.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I had written.
I mean, my biggest thing, there's a lot of themes in this movie besides just like the fear of death. Like a big thing is like one's acceptance versus another's like refusal of like what's the opposite of acceptance? Denial, I guess. Yeah. But I wrote it's like versus another's attempt of savior, because in his he's denying the fact of her death. But like except he knows that it's going to happen, so he's trying to save her, but he's denying that it's that he can. He's denying that she will. He thinks he can save her. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where the disjointed thing comes, because you do like Tommy does have this God complex.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of one of the moments I really did like is that, he's obviously spiraling. Like his wife is, her health is going down the tubes. They're like right here on this cusp of this greatness, medical exploration.
There's this tree down in Central America that they found.
The tree, the tree of life, which also I thought was a cool way to bring it back into, the modern day science idea as opposed to this mythology, mysticism thing.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing of he's like this lead scientist on one of the lead scientists on this whole thing. And they're like right here. They're right here before breaking through on this thing that's going to save his wife.
Yeah.
And then everyone, well, his boss mainly, but even his friends kind of have a pushback on it. Everyone kind of has this, you're too close to this. Mm-hmm. You need to calm down. And you're like,
what do you expect him to do?
What do you mean he's too close? Oh, yeah. He's very close to this. That's probably why you hired him. You didn't think there's going to be a conflict of interest. And then when it comes down to his wife, he's not going to start doing some wild shit to get results.
Yeah, exactly.
So then he gets pissed and you're like, yeah, you should be pissed. Like they're coming at you, bro. But yeah, there's that scene where he's like having a complete breakdown. And she's kind of like, you need to, like, why are you still here? And he's like, you know why I'm fucking here.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Yeah, for real. But and that was the other thing too, is with that whole, you do get this kind of full story arc with him.
Yeah, and that's the most important one to have.
But it just, because of the disjointed kind of quick pace of it, I honestly forgot his story arc until right before, like when I was talking about that, I remembered, oh yeah, his whole thing is he's so focused on her death and her dying that he's not appreciating the time he has with her in life.
Yes.
And at the end, when things kind of have this weird time travel reset thing, he branches out and he realizes, I appreciate the time now because no matter what I do, I'm going to lose it.
Yes. Okay. So, and then there's also the theme inside of this is regardless of righteousness, it is for selfishness.
Yes.
This journey, and it's man only wants to heal its own wounds.
Damn. All right.
Which is very clear in this movie.
Well, I wasn't until you said that, and then I thought about the whole plant thing, and I went, "That's what that was." I was wondering. It's like, what the fuck is this body horror shit going on suddenly?
Yeah.
But Yeah. That makes
But then within the three narratives, okay, so I wrote the three narratives hurt the flow of the movie.
Yes.
It feels like they should have a more metaphorical voice for present day Tommy, but also try to exist in their own world, which then creates the conflicting tension.
Yes.
And that's like, because you keep saying this like time reflect or whatever, and it's
I'm literally just putting in a word because I don't know. I can't think of a word.
because it's supposed to be three different actual three different characters.
Yes, but the reason that I'm having a conflict with that is the fact that she is writing
About
book.
a conquistador.
Okay, yes. So you're like, okay, is this a time period? Is this a thing that
Yeah.
are we getting a window into the past, or is this her book? And obviously the knight in love with the conquistador, the knight in love with the queen is her fucking husband, and she's the queen. That's what her mind is envisioning when she's writing the book.
But then how does fucking future Tom fucking
I
fit
don't
into
know. That's the fucking issue.
Exactly. So then, but here's the through line of that. All right,
God,
you ready
what?
for this? You ready for this?
Blow my mind.
Tommy is reading the story of the conquistador, who is a reflection of himself. The conquistador then finds solace, and there's that moment when future Tom and conquistador are the same person when he is the Buddhist monk.
Yeah, he
in the
reaches Nirvana.
in the Mayan temple. So Tommy is traveling through the conquistador and finding a doorway to future Tom. Yeah, and it's not good.
You're like,
Yeah.
great, I guess.
But that's the thing is, but then also if you really think about like, if they were three separate ones without this whole fucking story of the conquistador that Izzy is writing, that makes you feel like there needs to be some type of more connection. And it was just like you had these metaphorical stories of the conquistador, and he's doing it and taking out like even that whole like the guy that has the queen imprisoned, like that was one just giant speech for. I didn't fit anywhere in the movie, in my opinion.
You mean the one about the tree? Them talking about the tree?
Is it the guy that's
Oh, you're talking about the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's doing the watcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just, yeah.
Really cool religion, man.
But right, God, cool guy religion.
Then he starts like painting with the blood,
Yeah.
of either himself or his victims.
Yeah.
And he's like, says that really, it's a pretty great moment if it was in a different movie.
Yeah.
But he's like, she's running out of room. You're like, okay.
So if you would have had this thing of like the past being this metaphorical sense of faith, and because if you have this thing, if Tommy is our main focus, and he is a man of science, but he's also has the tree, like there's a lot of happening. If the past was the sense of like his representation of faith and searching for this tree of life in a sense of God will lead me there, versus Tom being this representation of like the future and of science
And enlightenment. He really is enlightenment.
Yeah.
He's
Enlightenment. Yeah.
Which also I think is a weird thing to take enlightenment and make it into a physical. I think that is hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they did it terrible or did it great. I'm just saying it's already such an abstract thing to try and make it tangible.
Yeah.
It's very
But he's
odd
like has the tree and
do.
he's using the tree repetitively to heal his Isabel or whatever, or Izzy, whoever the hell she is, on her bubble bed.
I took it as he was using the tree as nourishment to keep him alive to get them. So he was
Something, yeah.
taking the life force from this to help the greater good to get to the end, and then right before the end, the hairy tree dies.
Well, there's set supernova into the sun.
Yeah.
Time ran out on him.
Yeah.
And so we have our conquistador and our future, who by their failure they die because they have not given into,
They haven't accepted
it.
But
And then we have Tommy in the middle, who with the tree, the seed planting for her and his acceptance.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of. I'm glad at the top of this, I was like, you do kind of have to chew on it a little bit, and that's happened a couple times in this.
Yeah.
Us talking, for me at least, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of understanding more.
And I really actually felt like it was, for that movie, a very rewarding ending, because it was literally, he just plants it, and you kind of can have these flashbacks of her talking about how the man that she met, that was, I will live on forever as long as I'm a tree, because then I will be part of this tree and my seeds will be part of the birds taking it and the pollen and all this stuff. And like, I will forever live on through that. And then, so he plants that, and this is, you get this sense of acceptance, and then it literally just quietly ends.
Yeah, I really appreciated that.
Like, it was like, and we've made our statement.
Yeah, just kind of.
And I felt very like cathartic with it, and it moved me a little bit. I actually kind of teared up a little bit from that moment, because I was like, oh, we actually got there for him, because we saw the other two die from their plight, you know. And then, but it was just, and then I wrote right after that, I say, an actual rewarding ending, unfortunate journey to get through.
Well, I mean, it really, you know, because we do these little blocks and everything, it's almost impossible not to compare the two. Mm-hmm. But even with, like, you know, with these kind of movies, it does just what it needed to do.
Yes.
Which is tell us a narrative and story about grief and accepting grief and understanding. And it's interesting. Like, it's not, it's an interesting movie, and it's an interesting, you know, like, I really liked I liked the bleeding of the realities with each other. I just didn't really care about any of the realities, so that kind of made it hard to be like, whoa, you know. But even, you know, Tom is sitting there, and she shows up, you know, and Izzy, like, is standing there, and then he has, like, an interaction with her, and then it cuts back to, and he's still in the office, and he's future Tom, and then it cuts back, and he has hair now suddenly, and it's doing this kind of cool, you know, sequence of events of everywhere all at once. You know, he's tapping into all these different. That's why I was like multiverse. He's almost tapping into these other.
Because it's like history repeating itself. Weird.
Yeah. There's a part of
these three souls trapped in a similar dilemma.
Yeah.
Throughout time,
and it's just the execution of it just is too convoluted, and that's really does make it when you're and I just think that when you're jumping around that hard that quickly, it just is, it's going to be, unless you know. Exactly.
And that's really, like you said, the three narratives are the thing that really hurt this movie, because it isn't clear what they are actually supposed to be in regards to our true lead story, the present one of Tommy and Izzy.
Well, like, this is really stupid, but I was talking about this earlier. Not on camera, but like, I don't know why this is going to be okay. Just say it, and then we'll go from there. Writing wise, I was talking about really liking Holes, and you know,
the movie
Holes, and I was like, because of the fact I was always really impressed that there's three really distinct stories that are all really interesting, that are really well woven. It's like, it's a kid's movie and everything. Still has, but that's just a great movie. I haven't read the book. I've heard the book is great, but even the ability to do that and to have three distinct stories, interweave them to where it's completely through, not really convoluted, you can follow it easily, and you're really invested in each one of those stories. I think Holes is a damn near perfect movie.
Fair, yeah.
Honestly.
Because of its narrative structure.
Because of the way it's written, I just am really impressed by it. And so weirdly, I just realized that kind of fits into this, because it's just their narrative structure isn't super tight.
Which is crazy, I think, for Darren Aronofsky, but this is also kind of early Darren Aronofsky.
But I think it's the cutting. I think this is a classic case of things were planned, and especially when it was pulled the first time,
it was Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett, wasn't it? Yeah.
Weird. That's actually weird to think about.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah. Interesting. Because that also. That fits in with like this movie.
Weirdly,
right?
Yeah.
Like that. Benjamin Button and this would have fit as a block in a weird way.
Yeah.
And they had great chemistry. They were really great together in that.
Sorry, I totally sidetracked.
That's cool. That's a great observation. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, so it's like you have that right there. You know, those two in general, very different movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then even
you're saying this is the cutting room.
Yeah, and then even I was reading that they auctioned off like a 3-story Aztec pyramid set. Jeez. And you're like, what was that for? You know? And so once it had gotten so like shut down that they paid her for her time and was like, hey, I know you put your life on hold. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Sorry about that. They paid off the people that they had like put on the retainer for the special effects.
This is like from the first.
The first, yeah.
Oh, I didn't read about any of this.
Set off a bunch of props, and you know they had it. They had everything going to make this thing, and then last minute just really pulled it. And I'm just like, it's this, you know, it's just that what if thing of like in another universe. This was made in 2001, and it was Brad Pitt and Legend, and it was this completely different thing.
Yeah, and
it's just really interesting to think because the movie just feels like the nerfed version of what the actual vision was.
Yeah,
you know,
crazy.
And you know, and I like, you know, I have my qualms with Hugh Jackman, but in this just because he was just doing that thing, and you know, it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds and his snarkiness. It's like Hugh Jackman and his, you know. It's like that's why I liked Greatest Showman, because he was like, you know, like he was this theater version. But you know, even the casting for the original one, that would have been great.
Well,
and like Brad Pitt, say what you want about his personal life, but you know,
and this is really at the. I don't think if Hugh Jackman does this movie, I don't know if he starts getting some more. No, he was a Broadway actor. He would eventually, but he was searching for something that was completely opposite of Wolverine.
Yeah,
for film, because he's like, I want to actually show that I have range.
It's wild how little he is in this,
right?
I'm just so used to him being fucking.
Well, even in the first X-Men movie, he's not super ripped.
No, he's not. He's good shape, but he's not fucking dinner plate chest. That's funny. As soon as you were saying that, I saw that scene of him like waking up and you know, running around with his shirt off. And you're like, a customer years and years ago talked about weird. I thought with his healing ability, Wolverine couldn't get any older. It's just, and it's just like if you do, you know,
hey.
It's like you can very slowly though.
Yeah,
they put that in there. They covered their tracks on that.
I feel like we kind of wrapped up a lot of this movie already.
That felt, I mean, obviously, someone could disagree. That felt really concise and really like, there wasn't really a whole lot of spiral tangents in there.
No,
weirdly.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for the compliment on my selfishness and righteousness.
Yeah, no, that's
because man only wants to heal his own wounds.
Well, because it really is, you know, it's that old like proverb or what, can't think of the terminology for it, but you know, if you love something, set it free.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like filmmakers like Aronofsky, who very inspired by people like Kubrick, they get to a point where they want to make their own 2001: Space Odyssey. You know,
he talked about that.
Yeah,
he talked about that.
I know.
He wanted that.
Before I even read that, I wrote my first note is his attempt at 2001: Space Odyssey.
Well, and that's just like such a wild mindset to have. Mm-hmm. Like, know what I'm going to go in and do? What? I'm going to make the new Godfather.
You're like, right?
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you need help. Like. You need to dial it down a little bit.
But I mean, people have been successful with that. Like,
no, I mean, I'm not saying that, but I get it. Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land among the stars. Like, whatever. I'm really the Proverbs right now. Is that right?
I don't know.
Comment. I'm stupid.
I think that's something I've said before.
I've been really struggling with.
Or no, it's shoot for the stars. The
words.
No,
I meant the proverb thing.
Oh,
is that the right terminology?
I don't know.
I've been really struggling. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Is it proverb or proverb?
It's proverb.
Cool.
I know that.
Woo. But yeah, you know, like I don't think there's anything wrong with having
ambition
about that. But like for these, those are wild. Like if you were like, I really want to make something like The Departed, you know, just because we were talking about that. Yeah, okay. You want to make a really good crime drama. you know, about the Irish mob in Boston, and then you want like, you know, insider and moles and rats and all that. Got it. Cool. That sounds good. But to be like,
and then then they just rip off a Japanese movie.
but
That's
no,
what The Departed is actually.
is it?
Yeah,
Really?
it's actually very much a loose remake of a Japanese crime film. Yeah,
Please find out the name of the Japanese one.
I can't remember the name. I'll find it afterwards. Yeah.
I would watch. You know, I'd watch. I would watch the shit out of that. Fuck me, man. International Japanese crime syndicate movie. Let's go. Oh yeah, and it's just wild to be like, to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna make the next Godfather. I'm gonna make the next 2000. I'm sorry. Who the fuck do you think you are?
I'm gonna make the next Citizen Kane.
I can't. And you know, maybe it's a confidence thing. I can't imagine saying that to someone in complete seriousness. Like, you know, I have my idea wall, and I have these ideas of like spec scripts and everything like that, and like being like, this right here, this is the next Citizen Kane. I'm gonna go down in history forever. Because
I think
of this
there's
movie.
a difference between like, I want to make the next Citizen Kane or Godfather, or I'm shooting to write something that has that a level of power to it.
Yeah.
Because in theater, one of the biggest plays of all time, most notorious, is Waiting for Godot. Mm-hmm. And while I was in college, my final playwriting class, I was writing a play very much inspired by that, and I was shooting to grasp the level of thematic narrative in that show as well.
Yeah.
And when one of my playwriting teachers did relate my work to Samuel Beckett, I was fucking tickled pink. I was like, I'm getting there. You know? I wasn't trying to recreate Waiting for Godot, but I was trying to create my own Waiting for Godot.
You just sucked all the fun out of it because you again made a good point. I was like, I liked the better. I'm making the next.
Well, but there's a difference.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But when you put it in that like kind of context, it sounds more like that's what he was doing. I like the idea better of
Darren Aronofsky's like
kicking the ass,
smoking cigarettes, doing lines of coke. Like, I'm gonna make the next 2001 Space Odyssey.
Evan Williams, you know, kind of skit, you know, like that kind of thing. I mean. Yeah, I mean, what are we at? We can start wrapping up.
I want to wrap up because of the audio stuff. I want to start working on that.
I mean, I just think that this movie...
We're at like 53, honestly. So like we're...
Yeah. I think this movie is very interesting also in the fact that it is so sci-fi without being sci-fi.
Yeah. We've had a couple of movies like that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like... And actually, there's moments that it reminded me of... in some ways like a kind of Assassin's Creed-y, kind of this idea of like tapping into these other versions of you, which I thought was kind of cool. But also it did kind of remind me of Prometheus in the, not in the horror sense, but kind of this elevated sci-fi that does have this almost weirdly abstracted, grounded reality. I know that's a very conflicting statement.
I know what you're trying to say though.
Yeah. And I just really appreciated this, like, the vibe of it, but it was also, I guess for me, it just kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit. I wouldn't say
overstayed its welcome. It tried and it missed.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's just how I would word it.
Yeah.
Like for me, I was just like, okay, let's wrap it up. Like, and that's even the thing too, is like, you know, is the fact that I couldn't get invested in any of the characters. And that's really, to me, just the amount of time we had with them. And I think that, you know, Rachel Weisz just being who she is just incredible. And everything I'm a librarian. You know, I've had the biggest crush on her my entire life.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And she just, even, you know, in About a Boy, everything she's been in, even like as the rom-com kind of.
Her acceptance of her mortality in this movie is so poignant. It's just like it really, you can feel it.
Well, yeah, and her whole thing of like fighting with him in a sense at the fact that he can't, not like knock down, drag out, but them being opposing energies on what the situation is was really. But even then, it's like I think it was really nailed. But I wanted more time with her because that's what you need. Because that's what he's fighting.
But that's what he doesn't get, and he's our narrator, so we don't get more time.
Well, yeah. But as the audience, we need to become invested in her too to feel that. And I just didn't feel like that we got enough of her to really feel
because we ended up getting too much about the conquistador.
Yes, exactly. We didn't, and it's like, no, the point of this is her death and is causing this almost this cosmic chain of events, almost, if you want, and the fact that we couldn't ever really just be with her and, in a film sense, fall in love with her as well, with our narrator and connect with her enough that it became really like, okay, well, she's dead now.
Yeah.
I mean, her dying scene was fucking brutal.
Oh, God.
He went to kill that doctor.
I started singing How to Save a Life and calling him Dr. Cox. I think Scrubs kind of ruined that scene for me.
But yeah, that was just like, great acting. And it did make me wonder, though, in that kind of situation, because he did like go at that doctor. Like, what did they do? Because it is such a high emotional moment. Do they kind of just go, you're good, just calm down? Or do they get like, did they get the cops involved?
It depends on the cop, or it depends on the doctor.
And the severity of said thing, I guess.
All right. What do you want to give it?
I honestly think it's on par with Sea of Trees. I think it's a 2.5. I think that everything on paper is there. It just and just like Sea of Thieves 2, the Sea of Thieves I did again. Sea of Trees. Did I do that back to back?
Yeah.
With Sea of Trees 2, it's very, and that's what it is. It's so similar because you have these casts.
Yeah.
That, and in this too, because our main narrator are both men, McConaughey and Jackman are pretty on par on the way they performed.
I want to see them in a movie together.
There's no way they're not in a movie together.
They're not in a movie together.
There's no way.
They're not in anything together.
Okay, there's our connection right there. Matthew McConaughey to Hugh Jackman.
That's an easy one to connect. Anywho.
They gotta be in a movie together.
I don't think they are, but anywho.
Dude, no, be really great. McConaughey as the villain. Or maybe not, because Hugh Jackman's always a good guy. Swap it. Make them both crime lords.
Are we writing a movie right now? Yeah. Evan Williams, let's go.
It's centered around those two men and some kind of conflict. They have to be in conflict, in my opinion. Or I guess they could be buddy-buddy, because that would be pretty fun too.
What if they were best friends at war?
Yeah, like We Own the Night, something like that.
Dude, World War I story.
Oh, and they're like opposing forces?
Well, no, the story of how after Franz and everything, I forget it. Yeah.
Stop giving them to put our ideas on the internet. But yeah, I think it's 2.5 because the parallels between these are just really, to me.
What's crazy is we're reverse roles right now, where last week you were kind of feeling Sea of Stars at a 3, and I was like, I think 2.5, and now I'm feeling Fountain at 3, and you're saying 2.5. I'm gonna settle with a 2.5 as well, because I just find it amusing.
It just could get completely reversed.
Yeah, because and also while I'm sitting here, while I'm listening to you, I'm like, what do I actually have an argument to get it to?
Besides, I wanna.
Yeah, and I don't, because its narrative structure really hurts itself. It's a lack of female development.
Well, and I just think the lack of investment in our characters.
It does feel very much insisting upon itself a lot, which is unfortunate.
Has quite a good dose of pretentious to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look what I made.
Mm-hmm.
And that might not be fair, because that may not be what Darren was doing or trying to say, because I don't know.
I don't think so. Not just his. Every filmmaker has one that kind of misses the mark, and I just think it was, I think we nailed it. It's like it's production history kind of like spells it out.
Yeah. But it's also, movies, they are a vehicle to feel empathy,
Yeah.
as Roger Ebert used to say.
Yeah.
So it's like, especially with a movie that is dealing with grief, I didn't feel grief, and
and what I did by the end of it,
Yeah, but I guess then the kind of the real point I was making is that what we'd start off on in the beginning of these recordings is that we're regurgitating what we felt in our own personal minds and personalities. So and that's really what this show kind of is. It's just more of an open dialogue about movies. So, and how they made us feel. And I feel like our breakdown is, okay, we now figured out what is what this movie is trying to do and what it's trying to tell us. And for you, did it do that? Yeah. And that's where we usually meet in the middle ground on the review, on the scoring.
Yeah.
But I just think 2.5. Yeah. It just needed a little, and it's like a little more tightening would have probably helped.
I do feel like it's aged well.
Thank you. I meant to bring that up. For being a 20-year-old movie, this movie looks great.
And I think even though its message is muddied, it still rings true to today.
I would.
It's a message that can stand the test of time as well.
I'd be more comfortable suggesting this over Sea of Trees.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You're like, it's it. Yeah, because this is. Yeah,
I would only recommend Sea of Trees in a sense of if you want to watch a great acting, because all three of them in Sea of Trees absolutely phenomenal.
Well, it's like the Sea of Trees and then the Fountain. They kind of weirdly feel like the years are reversed,
right?
Like the Sea of Trees kind of feels like 2006, and then this kind of feels more in the aughts, like 2010 and stuff. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. How just movies age. It's so I find that so fascinating.
Right.
That'd be fun to write a book about that.
Gotta do those essays.
Yeah.
Write those essays.
All
right. So 2.5?
Yes. 2.5. Let's go ahead and do that. I brought up the generator. So the people that came up with was Adam Sandler and Meryl Streep.
I feel like we've done Adam Sandler.
We have. So I was gonna say keep Meryl Streep or just redo them both.
Keep Meryl Streep.
Okay. Bill Murray. I feel like we just did. Did we just do?
I don't think we've done Bill Murray.
Okay. Bill Murray to Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep to Bill Murray.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So if you come up with a connection between Meryl Streep and Bill Murray, please put it in the comments or send us a message. Oh, I just wrote Murray to Bill.
Murray to Bill.
We have not discussed what we are going to do next week. I have an idea that we can talk off mic.
Okay.
And do you have an idea?
Nah.
No, cool. So yeah, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On there, all of our promos will come up for what is coming up for there every Friday. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. On there's a link tree, and on the link tree you can find us. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We do have video if you do want to watch. And I think that's it. This was Tommy.
This is Jay.
This is Tommy Jacob's Mixtape.
Bye. Hopefully the audio is fixed next week.
Oh yeah, we got to figure that out too. Bye.